Hey guys, welcome back to another video. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about VR. I know, I know. Uh, and the reason why is because Meta just announced the Quest 3 and Apple just announced the Vision Pro. And I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about it. So, I'm very interested in VR coming to Star Citizen, and this is something that the devs have said that they are going to do as soon as they finish Gen 12 and a few other things that they need to do. And when they have time, they'll add it in. Now, similarly, we just got a big update to Arena Commander. And the kind of standout feature to Arena Commander is this full revamp, this redesign to kind of bring it in line with everything else that's in the game. And this new mode called experimental mode, where they can add in different kind of gameplay mechanics. And a lot of people were talking about and theory crafting that CIG may add different tech to Arena Commander, tech like the new flight modes, to be able to test it out before implementing it to the PU. Because if you think about it logically, a lot of players, the biggest thing that they ask for right now is stability in the PU. People want to be able to play it on a regular basis and not deal with a ton of 30Ks and a ton of bugs. So really, Arena Commander, not just the PTU, because I know we have the PTU where this is basically where they put in the stuff, but to allow players to test out different features in isolation. So you are just testing out and balancing certain features before you even bring it into the PTU. So again, you guys probably know where I'm going with this. I think personally, Arena Commander is a great way to kind of test out VR. And I'm going to kind of explain my thoughts on why I think Arena Commander might be the best platform for really integrating VR into Star Citizen. Now, there are a lot of people who probably don't care that much about VR. But the big thing is a lot of people like to be immersed in Star Citizen. It is like one of the biggest selling features of the game is how immersive it is. And there are a lot of people who like to, do the whole sim rig and get really involved in that aspect of the game. And there are also a lot of Elite Dangerous refugees who have come over from Elite Dangerous to Star Citizen. And one of the biggest things that Elite Dangerous players liked about that game was VR. Now, what ended up happening was that when Frontier Development moved to Odyssey, you had that on-foot gameplay as well, and that was really hard to integrate with VR. So I believe personally they just decided to scrap it. Among other things, probably I think that things changed and they ultimately decided that continually putting that much development effort into the game, where maybe they could have put development effort into something like the Thargoids and that dynamic event structure, they probably thought that would pay off more. But I think VR is big, and it's a big reason why people like to play space games. Honestly, again, I'm one of those people, so I'm biased. I want to see VR in Star Citizen. I think VR made Elite Dangerous as big as it was. So if CIG ultimately brought VR to Star Citizen, it would be even bigger than it is now. I think VR could be a major selling feature for Star Citizen if they get it implemented right. And I think Arena Commander is a good way to do that. Because Arena Commander isolates the gameplay loops. You have dedicated Arena Commander, and then you have this kind of separate module called Star Marine. Now, in the Arena Commander update, it will all be Arena Commander. So Star Marine will be in Arena Commander. But CIG could add a mode where it's like experimental mode VR integration. So you could have VR in racing, VR in dogfighting, VR in Star Marine. And it would essentially work where you can be in your sim pit when you're racing and be in your sim pit when you're doing dogfighting in VR and have that tactile experience. But then when you're doing Star Marine in VR, you could pick up the controllers and you can walk around your room and you might be able to, look at your gun and inspect it and take out the magazine and check the chamber. And CIG could add all of that immersion in isolation because it's in Star Marine and because it's in the racing module and the flight module. And because those things are separated, they could develop specifically for them. Because right now, the way it works in the persistent universe is that you kind of hold F and you interact with everything. But that is going to be potentially disorienting or not feel intuitive with VR. Again, that feels very, to me anyway, I've been playing the game for a long time. For a new player, of course, you wouldn't know what to do when you walked up to a door. But to me, I've been playing Star Citizen for a while, so it feels kind of natural and intuitive and fluid with keyboard and mouse. Again, I don't really play Star Citizen on controller, so I don't really know how that feels like. But it would feel very different in VR to essentially have a keyboard and mouse control system. I know a lot of people who are probably interested in having VR in Star Citizen. They're probably looking forward to having a more immersive experience. So an experience where you control the character's hands. So the way VR kind of works is that your controllers are your hands. Some headsets have hand tracking. I think the new Quest 3 has hand tracking. The Vision Pro has hand tracking as well. But, I don't know what to say about the Vision Pro. The Vision Pro has got me stumped because a lot of people are very amazed by its interface. They feel like the eye tracking and pinching to select things, they feel like that is very natural, very fluid. It feels good. It feels like a progression from having controllers. But that is in a primarily AR environment. When it comes to gaming, one of the biggest draws to it is that feedback loop. The little vibration from the controllers to give you that tactile experience when you press a button, feeling the trigger. You really want to feel the game. You want to be immersed in the game. You want to be surrounded. And again, for AI navigating a UI, to me, I don't really care about it that much. Personally, I don't want to be navigating UIs when I'm wearing a headset. Having an intuitive AI, again, an intuitive UI makes sense for a device like a phone, because in that scenario, you are interacting with the UI 100% of the time that you use the device. But when you're wearing a headset, you want to be interacting with the virtual world that you're in. So having a heavy UI presence, to me, it feels like it misses the point of VR. Because in my opinion, the advantages to VR are not to replace your phone or your TV, because ultimately those things are better at that. They are dedicated devices. A computer is a dedicated device for computing. A phone is a dedicated device for mobile computing, and a TV is a dedicated device for entertainment. Yes, you could enhance the size of the screen in VR, but the major advantage of having a TV is watching it with friends and family. Multiple people could sit in front of it and enjoy the same content. When you're wearing a headset, it's kind of a very solo experience. You're the only one who's viewing the content. And for a $3,500 device, it really can't replace the TV in that aspect. The second thing is compatibility. Again, this is an Apple device. Ultimately, it's not going to be as open as something like the Meta Quest 3, where, you know, Meta has been surprisingly open lately with Llama and their AI technology. So, and of course, PC VR. I know a lot of people say that, oh, this is a productivity device, companies are going to use it. But realistically, a lot of companies use Windows. I know a lot of companies also use Macs, but a ton of companies use Windows. And they have a lot of proprietary software that means they can't switch over to Mac at the flip of a switch. So if they are going to integrate VR into things they do, they're probably just going to go straight to Meta, because, you know, Meta has wireless PC VR. That there's no wire. You don't have to connect it to your computer. You just have to put on the Quest 3 and you're connected to your computer. Wireless PC support. So if I'm a company and I'm using Windows, I can't take advantage of the Vision Pro. So to me, compatibility is a huge negative for the Vision Pro. The form factor, in my opinion, is a huge negative for the Vision Pro. Again, it is something that's sealed to your face. What I like about the design of the Quest Pro is that it has that gap. So you don't have to deal with the face sweat and the oils from your face, and, you know, maybe your spouse uses it and getting makeup on the soft fabric or whatever it is. I feel like if you're going to make an AR headset, it doesn't make sense to make it fully sealed like that. In my opinion, that's a VR thing. I think Meta's decision to not make the Quest Pro fully sealed is a better one. Obviously, the Vision Pro's pass-through is better, but the Quest 3's pass-through is supposed to be better than the Quest Pro. So I think the device that a lot of people should wait for is probably the Quest Pro 2. The Quest Pro 2 is probably, because the Quest Pro has eye tracking, which recently Thrillseeker made a video where he basically recreated Apple's UI with the pins to select and the selecting things with your eye. So the hand tracking and the eye tracking, the Quest Pro has that. And, you know, if they increase the pass-through, if they increase the clarity, I think the Quest Pro 2 is going to be kind of the device to beat, in my opinion, for most use cases. The Vision Pro, in my opinion, the device is kind of dead on arrival. You know, Meta has sold 10 million Quest 2s, and they're probably you know, budgeting for selling about the same amount. But then you go and you look at the Vision Pro. Apple's Vision Pro was supposed to have 1 million units, but now reports say that Apple has cut production back to 150,000 units. So they're kind of already expecting there to be not too much interest in the device. And I mean, it makes sense. This is really a tier 0 device, a generation 0 device, a device that, I see Apple wanting developers to get on board with, to essentially make content for it. Because for once, in Apple's history, Apple's behind on content. You look at the iPhone, and it has a huge app library, because Apple is essentially first out of the gate. But Meta had it first. Meta's vision, for VR, in my opinion, it just got a lot of validation from the Vision Pro, and a lot of eyeballs are going to be on the Quest 3, because it does a lot of stuff for $500. I mean, you can get several Quest 3s for the price of one Vision Pro. So for the average consumer looking to get into VR, and again, I feel like the Vision Pro is a huge, marketing, a boost to the VR industry, to the VR community. But I mean, as a Star Citizen player, I can't imagine using that thing, to play Star Citizen. Because it worked with PC. You gotta have it wired. It's got this battery pack with a wire, and that only lasts 2 hours. If you want it to last longer, you gotta plug it in. The Quest 3 has wireless. So yeah, with VR and Star Citizen, I think Arena Commander. So yeah, going back to VR and Star Citizen, I think Arena Commander is essentially going to be a big way for CIG to test technology like this. I hope they, use Arena Commander to test VR. I know they talked about it, about adding VR support officially. I know some people, kind of jerry-rig it to get it working. With Star Citizen and VR, I think that Arena Commander is going to be a good tool for CIG to get VR working. I know they talked about, adding VR support officially after they, figure out things with the graphics. With Gen 12 renderer is now, fully integrated in the game. So they're going to continue to make modifications to Gen 12 renderer, and one of those things might be VR. So VR might come sooner than a lot of us expected. But I don't want to get anyone hopes up about it. I just think it's a very interesting topic. I know a lot of people kind of have jerry-rig solutions to get VR working in Star Citizen. I've seen VR working in Star Citizen before. I think there was kind of a way to do it before, and some update broke that, but they kind of got it working again. It's kind of like an up and down thing with VR in Star Citizen, and getting VR officially would be a huge boost to what you could do in the game and how much fun you can have in the game. And I think it's gonna be a big advantage if CIG can get VR support officially in the game. But let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited about VR in Star Citizen? Is VR support something that you originally backed the game for? Are you coming from Elite Dangerous and using VR in Elite Dangerous? Let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. What do you think about VR in Star Citizen? I think VR in Star Citizen could be huge. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me here today. You guys, like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more commentary, reactions, what have you from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Salute.